The 2021 Ducati Multistrada V4 S marks a defining moment in modern motorcycling. We are now entering the age of radar. It's been 26 years since the first adaptive cruise control systems were fitted to passenger cars, and now Ducati can put the feather of being the first motorcycle company to bring such technology to the public firmly in its cap. Thanks to the radar and the blind spot detection software added to the machine's electronic arsenal, the Ducati Multistrada V4 S can also lay claim to being the safest motorcycle on the road today. We've never had a motorcycle packed with this level of technology before, nor have we had a V4 sports tourer capable of over 160 miles per hour. Putting those 2 points in one sentence is rather odd, I grant you, but hang with me on this one. There's 3 versions of the Multistrada in which you can spend your cash: the base model, the V4 S with cast or spoked wheels, and the V4 S Sport, also with cast or spoked wheels. However, as our test bike was a V4 S and we had both the cast and the spoked wheel options available for us, we'll focus on that for the review. For those skeptical of allowing a computer to dictate your proximity to the car in front, I don't blame you. It takes a leap of faith to trust the radar system. However, once you do so, you'll never look at freeway riding the same again. It works like this. You're riding down the freeway and set cruise control to 75 miles an hour. Your adaptive cruise control distance is set to say level 3 of 4, which gives you plenty of space to the car way up in the distance. As you gradually close on that car that's traveling at 70 miles an hour, you'll get to within a certain distance of the bumper, but no more. The radar will hold you there. As the car speeds up, so will the Ducati, with no extra input from your right wrist. Conversely, as the car slows down, the radar will send a signal to the ECU to close the throttle bodies and apply a touch of front and rear brake pressure to keep you at a safe distance. Then it comes time to pass. You put your indicator on, move to the left and out of the radar's field of view, and within a couple of seconds, the Ducati will start accelerating back up to 75 miles an hour, again with no extra throttle input. You pull back into your lane and you're on your way. Pretty neat. Another exceptional feature is the blind spot detection software. The radar sits below the seat unit, just above the number plate, and emits a signal to the ECU and tells you via a yellow light mounted in the corners of the Ducati's mirrors that a vehicle, car, bike, truck, whatever, is in your blind spot. If you then put your indicator on as though you were going to get ready to change lanes, the light will start flashing furiously, so brightly that it's impossible to ignore. Hopefully more than a few lives will be saved with this feature. The fact that the V4 S has one of the most spectacular engines ever wedged into the sport touring market is secondary to the impact the radar system will have on motorcycling as a whole, but we'll check it out anyway. Put simply, the V4S's motor makes the old L-twin feel somewhat anemic. It's a sophisticated monster of sheer performance, like a light heavyweight UFC champion in a tuxedo. Ducati is claiming 170 horsepower at 10,500 RPM and 92 pounds-feet of torque at 8,750 RPM, with the company telling us its third gear roll-ons at 65 miles an hour showed the motor produced 25% more torque than the outgoing L-twin. The spread of torque is massive, with the acceleration on hand from 3,000 RPM right up to the peak power of 10,500 RPM. This is achieved by boring out the V4S's motor, kindly donated by the Panigale V4S, 2mm to 83mm, for a capacity of 1158 cc's. However, unlike the Panigale, and for that matter, every modern Ducati, the Multistrada V4S doesn't use Ducati's trademark desmodromic valve train system. Instead, the company has employed conventional valve springs to increase the service intervals to a massive 36,000 miles for the valves, more than any production motorcycle on the market today. The motor is mated to a monocoque frame in the same guise as the last of the V-twin Panigales, a steel trellis subframe, and a redesigned and lighter double-sided swing arm. Plus, there's the superb suite of rider electronics. As has always been the case on the Ducati Multistrada, there's 4 riding modes of Sport, Touring, Urban and Enduro, the latter of which limits the V4's output to 100 horsepower. Sport mode is undoubtedly where the party's at, as you get the full hit of the motor with stiffer suspension settings to boot. The Multistrada goes from a cushy freeway cruiser to a taller, wider Panigale. Its sporting prowess is immense, and when matched to the electronic Ducati Skyhook suspension that's in charge of the 50mm Marzocchi fork and monoshock, not to mention the superbike spec Brembo Stylema front brakes, there are very few bikes that will stay with it in the twisties, and none will do it as comfortably. The Multistrada V4 is also notable for the new 19-inch front wheel, which puts it in better stead for off-road riding and on par with something like the BMW R1250 GS. If you go for the more off-road specific spoked wheels at purchase, you'll likely fit up the Pirelli Scorpion Rally rubber to help take you off the beaten track. As for the dash, the engineers have spent a huge amount of time trying to make the user experience a better one when it relates to phone mirroring, navigation, calls, and vehicle dynamics adjustment. The main feature is the new partnership with navigation company Sygic, which works in conjunction with the Ducati Connect app and the USB connector located in a neat compartment behind the fuel cap. The Sygic navigation app is pretty easy to use, but it takes a little bit of playing around if you're used to something like Google Maps. And the dash will let you play your music, but it sadly won't let you play songs off Spotify like you can with Apple CarPlay. Regardless, the vehicle dynamics are much easier to use than in their L-twin days thanks to a joystick on the left handlebar, in much the same fashion as Triumph has done for many years. The Ducati Multistrada, in becoming a V4S, has changed its personality drastically. So with that in mind, we headed off to Borrego Springs in Southern California to try and get to know the new beast.
Far out, man, what a day. I didn't expect this to be as good as I found it, to be honest. It's a pretty remarkable bike. Two halves of the day, really. We did one half of off-road, one half of on-road. On-road, we'll start with the on-road first. On-road, there's very few things that are going to touch this thing, especially in terms of like long distance comfort, like fast long distance comfort. I'm not going to say what speed we got these things up to, but it has so much grunt from that V4 engine. You know, you got a 2 mil up in the bore, so 1158 cc out of this thing. It has so much grunt. I can't understate how fast this thing is for a sport tourer. You got to bear in mind, this is a sport tourer. This isn't a superbike. Even though the motor has come from the superbike, this is not straight up a superbike. So yeah, the engine is just superb. The way the chassis kind of interprets your movements, and it's very intuitive. Like it piles into corners really nicely. The brakes are it brakes really well. The Skyhook suspension that comes with the motorcycle, the V4 S, is really, really nicely done. I mean, Ducati Skyhook suspension's been around for quite a long time now, so every couple of years they keep updating it, and it's a really intuitive system. It's really, really nice. It's got the auto leveling function as well, which is a nice little handy feature, especially for when you're going to start putting pillions on, passengers on, and luggage and things like that. On the sport mode, this thing is a beast of a bike. It really is. It has so much power up top. Coincidentally, this thing actually revs, I think it's about 3,000 RPM less, redline's about 3,000 or so RPM less than the Panigale V4 that it's based off. And it also runs steel valve springs, so that's probably one of the biggest marketing things ever for Ducati. I mean, Ducati is the king of the Desmo, and this bike does not come with Desmo valves. It comes with good old-fashioned springs. I say on the road, it's a remarkable machine. It is an absolute grand touring bike, if you like. You could ride this thing from LA to New York tomorrow in perfect comfort. Little things like, these little parts on the sides of the fairing, or the side of the screen here, that direct the wind, it does make a noticeable difference. Like, directs the wind up over your shoulders, and it feels really nice. Like, you at high speeds, this thing is rock solid, absolutely rock solid. And the engine just keeps pulling and pulling and pulling. So look, it's a very comfortable bike. I'll show you quickly now. You hop on here, I'm 6'1", perfect. It's like big dirt bike style, really. I like how it's super easy to adjust your screen, nice and easy there. It can get a little confusing, I gotta admit. Like, it can get a little confusing with the various modes, and all the switches and all the stuff. If you're going to buy this bike, you will eventually learn it. Like for us, it was just a day ride, so we didn't really get to go into it. We're going to do some more stuff on this later on. We're really going to delve proper into it and keep it for a couple of weeks. But yeah, you do have to learn a bit of a new language with the electronics with this bike. The biggest thing for sure in terms of the electronics is the radar at the front and the adaptive cruise control. Huge thing for motorcycles, massive thing for motorcycles. And got to admit, hand up, complete skeptic before I tried it in action. I remember the first time I tried this in a car and I was like, what the hell's going on? And I didn't even know I had it before I realized what it was doing. It was in a hire car of all things. So when we went out and tried it on the road, it has a bit of a delay in, so like for the adaptive cruise control, let's focus on that part first. Adaptive cruise control, you obviously have your 4 levels of how close you want to get to the vehicle in front. I think I was on like level 2 or 3, so about the medium level. And if I wanted to, I put the indicator on and then I pulled out of the range of the radar. It took about 3 or 4 seconds and then the thing just took off and it went right back up to the speed that I originally set the cruise control at. And then it pulled back in, nice easy pass. Like pretty cool, I've got to say. Like there's not a lot of things that have happened in motorcycling aside from things like cornering ABS and an IMU of late that are really like, wow, that's cool. So yeah, I'm a big fan of that. I think that's a really good system. I wouldn't rely on it solely. Like you're never gonna just go, oh cool, the bike's gonna do it for you. You still have to be very much in the zone and very much in control of the motorcycle. But it is a really cool feature. Another great feature is the blind spot detection system. That has to be, as far as I'm concerned, that needs to go on every bike now. The first time I tried it, it flicked up and it took me a minute to remember, oh yeah, it's got the blind spot detection system from the radar at the back. That thing's awesome. It's fantastic. Like a couple of, we were kind of playing around with each other earlier today and cruise up behind the next guy and you can see it come on and it gives him plenty of warning, and in the sides of these things, they're very bright too, these LEDs, they really do flash up. So yeah, great system. Ducati should be congratulated for bringing that out. Now we switch over to the off-road, and look, this is where I guess it's not really fair to call it shortcomings, but it is a massive bike. It's a big bike, this thing. You know, your 1158cc V4 motor. So you cannot get away from the fact that this thing is very large. In practice, it's pretty good. Like if you're just cruising around on dirt roads and things like that, and little potholes and bits and pieces, it's fine. It cruises along really good. You can put the thing into enduro mode, softens everything up, gives you 100 horsepower. We actually went into enduro mode and bumped up the suspension. So the suspension's it's like soft, medium, hard, and hardest. I ended up putting it on hard on the front and hardest on the rear, just to give it a bit more support to kind of keep all that weight fairly centered. And it made a very big difference actually. All of a sudden the bike was a bit more taut, a bit more sort of stiff, I guess you like, and it became a much better bike as a result. You feel that tank weight, especially when we went on there, we had about 2/3 of a tank of petrol, and you could feel the fuel kind of sloshing around a little bit. So that, yeah, it's a big bike. It's a street bike, it's a street bike that's capable of going off-road. It's not something like a Tenere 700 or an 890 KTM Adventure or something like that. It's a different animal. Kind of looking at, if you were to take it off-road, as long as you're careful with it and you don't do anything too silly, like you don't go ramming over rocks and trying to climb gnarly things, as long as you do that and you sort of respect it, it will do everything that you ask. It's kind of hard to figure out where to put this bike, to be honest, because it's so good on road. It's pretty good off-road. It's all right off-road. I thought originally it was more like an S1000 XR, but then we went off-road and I'm like, is it more of a GS? I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell. This really highlights the need now for Ducati to go and build a proper dedicated adventure bike. They've got a good motor in that 950. They've got the 950 Multistrada. I personally, my feeling is like they need to go and take that bike, strip it to the bare bones, make it a proper adventure bike, put it up against the Yamaha T7 or the new Touareg that's coming out from Aprilia, whatever you want. There's a big hole in the market now for Ducati that they can fill, because I don't think it's fair that this bike has to kind of do both duties. It is spectacular on the road. It is bloody awesome on the road. it's probably going to fall behind a little bit when it comes to actual adventure riding versus things like GSs and things like that, but we'll wait till we put them up against each other to give you a final result. Anyway guys, that's enough rambling from me. It is a spectacular bike. You know, for the best part of 25 grand, you'd hope it would be, and it is. That V4 engine, oh man, that's sex on wheels, that thing, man. It is cool, and it sounds money too. But yeah, we're gonna take this thing back. We're gonna do a few more things, so stay tuned to more of this stuff from Cycle News. If you like this video, give it one of these ones. Hopefully it's not one of these ones. And also give us a like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff. And we'll be back with more for you soon here at Cycle News. Until then, keep it rubber side down, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.